So I'm going to demonstrate the functionality that's coming in the closed stack requests development that is being undertaken by one of the BibLibre developers, Julien Maurice. This is the Bugzilla entry, the Koa community bug tracking software that we use is called Bugzilla, and this is the URL for this particular bug, which is bug number 38666. And in it, um, Julien has given a fairly thorough test plan, which I've been going through, and I will just demonstrate how this test plan works and what functionality it shows. The way I have this set up is I've got it on a sandbox system so that it'll work, and you can access this sandbox yourselves if you want to on sandboxes.ptfs-europe.co.uk, and it's this top sandbox here, Andrew 38666, and you can access both the staff interface and the OPAC for this sandbox just by clicking on either two of those two buttons. If you access the staff interface, you'll be asked to log in using all lowercase username Koha, K-O-H-A, password Koha, K-O-H-A. And if you want to log into the OPAC, again, log in using the same username and password, and that will give you a user that you can play around with. I've done that and logged into both the staff interface under Koa username, which is a librarian user, and also I've logged in on the OPAC interface as well, just for the purposes of this demonstration. So the first thing I'm going to show you is that in circulation, with this bug applied, with the patch applied for this this development, we have a new area in circulation called closed stack requests. If I go into that, you'll see there are no pending closed stack requests at the moment. And if I were to go into here, I can switch libraries. So potentially if there were different libraries or branches needed to be using this functionality, then that's how you would switch from branch to branch or look at all requests using that filtering on the left-hand side. And you can see that closed stack requests is being handled among the holds. So it's sort of within the holds functionality. More on that in a second. So currently there are no closed stack requests. If I go back to the OPAC view for now, and I just do a search in the OPAC view, I'm just going to do a search for music. And here there's a title, All Music Guide to the Soul. And I'm just going to click on that one because this particular biblio and items I've set up with one of the item records showing as in the closed stores, and then three others are on the general stacks. Now, if I try to place a hold against these items, you can see I've got the option to either place a hold or place a closed stack request. If I place a hold, it's actually only going to let me place a hold against the items that are available on the general shelves. I'll not do that at the moment. If I tried to place a closed stack request, then it's only going to allow me to place that closed stack request against the item that is in the closed stores. So I am actually going to place that hold against that item as a closed stack request. That's now being treated as a hold, but in a separate tab to my other hold. So as a user, I can see this is a normal hold, and now I have a new tab for closed stack requests. I can also go back to look at that title as I could if I and I've already got an item that's on closed stack request, so I can't place another at this point. So that's how it works from a user standpoint. If I just show you another couple of examples, so if I search for the title Pearl in the catalog, and I look at this item is in the general shelves, so I don't have here the ability to place a closed stack request because it's on the general shelves. I can only place a hold against this. And if I go to Spirit, and click on that title, you can see that all of these items are in the stores in the closed stacks. So if I try to place a hold, it's not going to let me place a hold, a normal hold, because there are no items that can be placed on normal hold, but it will let me place a closed stack request against any of those items of that title that are available within the closed stores. So that's just showing you how it differentiates between holds and closed stack requests, and it either will or won't allow you to place a hold or a closed stack request according to whether or not there are items under a biblio that are either in the closed stores and flagged as closed stack items or in the open shelves. So that's it at the moment from the OPAC side. If I now go to the staff side and I go back to the home, if you remember, I've just placed a closed stack request for that user, and I go to the home, it's now giving me an alert to tell me that there is a pending closed stack request, a new one. So I will come back to look at that in a second. However, before I do that, I'm just going to look from the staff side at how this is all configured. So if I go and search for that spirit title, this one, Phenomenology of Spirit, and I look at the holdings here, I can see that they've got a shelving location of closed stack, but also if I go into the items view, importantly, in terms of the functionality, each of the items that are, in this case, using the shelving location is configurable as an authorized value. So you could have multiple different store locations with different names potentially if you wanted to, and more detailed locations in that way with different names, different descriptors, etc., and against different branches potentially. But importantly, in terms of the functionality, is whether or not this closed stack status is set against the item. So this was the Phenomenology of the Spirit bibliorecord. At the moment, all 4 of the items underneath are set with a closed stack status. I'm going to change one of them back to no, so it's not in the closed stack, and set the status. Now, if you see, that hasn't updated the shelving location, so I would actually have to also edit the item and change its shelving location if I am actually moving it to a different shelving location, back to, for example, the general shelves. So I'm going to save the changes against that one. So now I've got 1 that's in the general shelves and 3 that are in the closed stack. If I go back to this bibliorecord in the OPAC view, now you can see that change is reflected here. I've got 3 that are still in the closed stores, 1 that is in the general stacks. Now, if I try to place a hold, I will be allowed to place it against this one that's not in the closed stores anymore. And I can also still place closed stack requests against the ones that are. It may or may not be that you have multiple items, some that are on the shelves and some that are in closed stores or not under one bibliorecord. That depends on, obviously, on your own collection. So that's how the functionality works in terms of turning it on and off in the staff side. If I go back to home and I start to manage that pending closed stack request, so I'm going to click into that closed stack request. This is the one I placed at the beginning against All Music Guide to Soul. And I can see it's being placed for the patron Koha. And at this point, I can manage this request. I can cancel it. It's being treated as a hold. So within circulation, these closed stack requests are being treated as holds. And the reason for that is it means that you could potentially configure circulation rules, specific circulation rules and hold rules against the items that are in the closed stack. When they come out and are placed on hold like that, they could be on hold for a shorter period of time. They could be given longer loan periods or shorter loan periods than other more general shelf items, however you wanted to configure the rules. But it's very good that this development's been done making use of the existing circulation functionality. So I can manage that hold in the normal way by, cancel it, for example, giving a reason, or at this point, I can print a closed stack request slip. And at the moment, I've got one pending and no slips printed. If I click that print slip, this is enabling me to print off a physical slip, save an item, or send it to a printer, whatever I've got set up with my particular machine I'm using. And having printed that slip, this item has now moved from pending to effectively managed, slip printed. So the workflow is underway for that item. So I can now send that down to the closed stores, that slip. They can pull the item off the shelves, perhaps put the slip in the gap where the item was so that it's got a reference to the patron and the barcode if there are barcodes, or the reference to the item on that slip on the closed stacks. The item can come back as the item is checked in. So we've got a barcode here. So now let's assume that I've been to the shelves and I want to just scan that item to check it into my current location. It's going to tell me at this point that it's got a hold. That patron that requested it from the stacks has got a hold. And we can set up notifications. It's saying patron is not notified at this, but you could set up hold confirmation notifications to say that this item's now arrived, confirming the hold, and off goes the notification to the patron. And then that item would be checked out to the patron under whatever circulation rules are in place for that particular item type, and shelving location, whatever other elements of the rules you want to place. So that's how the current functionality as written is going to work. It is still getting its way through community sign-off, and will certainly be aiming, I would have thought, to be in the November 2025 release. And we are very happy to continue working on this development. If there are other elements of it that you feel could be improved, obviously we'd need to work with other libraries to check their requirements and make sure that we reach an agreement around what's the best for this functionality, this development in the core community version of the software. The other piece of work that just needs to be done is to check that the API is available fully. We've checked certain elements of the API are there, but to check that everything that I've been showing you in the OPAC in terms of visibility of closed stack requests, I've now not got a closed stack request anymore. You'll notice I've just got two holds. One is awaiting for collection because that's the item we've just scanned as being available in Centerville for collection. So I'm being given a window to go and fetch that item from this branch. And then I can, go and get it out and loan, or go and read it in the reading room, whatever, again, your circulation rules are set up to allow. But all of that needs to be visible in the welcome discovery, and that depends on the API for that particular development, the closed stack request development. We've checked some of them, they're in place. We need to work with you on what exactly you would want to be showing in the discovery, and for users to be able to manage themselves or not. Right, I hope that summarizes what is available in this development and is useful for further understanding what we would be able to work with you on to make sure this functionality fully meets your needs. Thanks very much for watching.